Hi. Today I was going to tell you about the Explain page in my daily planner. There is a page called the Explain page, which is at the very beginning, and I thought it was kind of explanatory, but I have been asked exactly what this is and to explain it, and so I thought I'd do a video to explain the Explain page. Over on this side here is 28-day calendar with 13 months. So 28 times 13 comes to 364. So on this side I have name of month, which obviously on the actual pages you will see the name of the month. Unity Back month, for example, 13 names for each month. This 28-day calendar system comes from Jose Argüelles' Dreamspell calendar that he invented around the 1980s, which is not the same as the ancient Maya. So I'm going to stay on this side. This is basically from the Dreamspell, but here I have the silken, without my glasses I can't read it, this silken tones and the Hab tones are under the 28-day calendar, which is here, with dots are the tones, the 1 to 13, and the Tzolk'in name and the Hab name in the Maya language. So the people who follow the Dreamspell, they don't recognize the Hab calendar, but the Hab and Tzolk'in go together with the ancient Maya, like the cogs, like the old-fashioned clock, where the teeth interconnect, and so the Hab and the Tzolk'in have, on one day, have the tone and the name of the glyph, and the tone of the Hab and the name of the Hab glyph, which is why I have put that underneath for the people who do follow the Hab calendar as well. And what the Hab has to do with it is mentioned in here in the first few pages, which I do also call the similarities and the differences between the Dreamspell calendar and the ancient Maya. So that's kind of explained there what the Hab system has to do with, and like I said, mostly the ancient Maya use the Hab calendar. Below here I have written the Dreamspell date. This is because Jose's calendar system, the Dreamspell, isn't even on the same date as the ancient Maya, with the glyph and the tone, which I also just found out because of these pages, which I also mentioned, a couple of pages you could go on, which has this converter thing. You put on the date and it will spell out the date in the Maya. It's usually always set for today's date, so if you just go on there, it will tell you what today's Maya date is. And so I found out that there's two different versions. So anybody that's got a website and is working with the Dreamspell calendar with Jose's invention, that converter will have a completely different glyph and tone. So that is why the Dreamspell date is down at the bottom here, because if people really do want to work with my book with Jose's Dreamspell, this is definitely all to do with, basically all to do with the Dreamspell and the 28-day calendar system as well. In the middle here I have the glyph of the day, the kin of the day, sorry. The kin of the day, this number here is the kin, 1 to 260. That is 13 times 20. There are 13 tones. Like I said, the tone is the number 1 to 13. There are 20 glyphs. I do have the Tzolk'in round. At the beginning we have the Tzolk'in round, and that is the 260 days, 20 glyphs, 1 to 13. No number, tone and glyph will repeat itself until after the 260 days. So we have 1 through 260, and that's we'll get the 13 times 20, 13 tones and 20 glyphs come to 260, and that is also to do with the Turkanas, which I will come to in a minute. So the kin, the one up the middle, kin of the day, is your number 1 to 260, and then it will start with 1 again, which, did I say that? The word kin means day, basically. Day is a kin. So we call them kins. So this is the kin of the day. So if I go over here, we do see the actual date in the Gregorian calendar, that you will also have today's date, and the day of the week, so Sunday, Monday, whatever. So I haven't explained that. I thought that was kind of self-explanatory, that this is the date and the day of the week. Starting with the 25th of July, and this is last year's book, so 25th of July 2026 is the one I'm trying to promote. Below is the glyph of the day, and this is the ancient Maya. This is where I believe this is completely in sync with ancient Maya, not the dream spell. Below is the glyph again. The glyph and the tone here is the same as the glyph here, where the Tzolk'in and the Hab are together. So the glyph here is the name of the glyph in Maya, and I've also written that there is also the Maya glyph in English. So the English word for this glyph, this one for example, is yellow sun, and I have a German version, so it would also say it in German alongside the actual Maya name for this glyph. Yeah. The tone and the Maya glyph's name and the Maya glyph's name in English, so you can know what the Maya word actually means for yellow sun, for example. Underneath I have written Turkana, show us which 13-day Turkana we are in. So that is down below. I have the actual name of the Turkana. Now that is the 13 days, and I know that I'm not pronouncing it properly. I can't really speak Maya. They pronounce it like more soft. It's not as hard. Turkana, they say it so differently. So I'm not going to try and pretend that I understand or I can read and pronounce all these names. I can't. But the Turkana comes from the ancient Maya, and because it's 13 days, I hear the tre, like tricycle, triangle, triad, in other languages, industries. So there's definitely, the word has something to do with the fact that there's 13 days. But like I said, I can't speak their language and I can't pronounce it properly. And in the dream spell calendar, they call this a wave spell. In the dream spell, the people usually call this a wave spell. This 13 days is called a wave spell, and it's because they do it kind of like in a spiral, the 1 to 13, and the glyphs and the tones. And there's where they get the word wave spell from. But actually, Turkana is ancient Maya. This has to do with the 260 260 days of the silken round, which I wanted to go back to, because it goes 1 to 13, goes back to 1 to 13, goes back to 1 to 13, whilst we have these 20 glyphs. So there is, in this whole 260 days, every single glyph will get a trikana of its own. So 20 times the 13 trikanas will come to the 260 days. So every single one will represent, at some point throughout the 260 days silken round, will have a trikana represented by the glyph, and that starts on every time the one comes up. The unity day is where the trikana starts, and it gets the name of that glyph. So the next thing, that is explaining the top part here. The next thing is what I have written down here. First, I've got this little, what I call speech bubble, and this one says my personal space. So that means this is your personal space. Everything else down here is your book to do with whatever you want. If it's a dream journal, or really your daily planner to write your appointments in, any kind of calendar book, whatever it is you want to use it for, this is your personal space. Everything below is your personal space. This is my personal calendar. Everything below is your personal space. But I call these speech bubbles because at certain places I have put when full moons are, when new moons are, when the Wheel of the Year fests are. So let me find something real quick. Yeah, Mabon, for example, here is one with Mabon, that it is time to set your Mabon fest, prepare for your Mabon fest, something like that, which is why I call them speech bubbles. And then finally, I have written this little sentence here, which I'll read. I am doing this with the explaining the explain page because I have been told that it doesn't really make much sense and I should explain it better. I have written, the 28-day calendar shows the day in red, and the date marked in yellow is the Espat, or full moon, which means this, if you can see it from here, I don't know, but I'll explain that in a minute. If you can see that, there's a date here every single day that's marked in red for the whole 28 days. There will always be the next one marked in red. That is the day's date, as you could say, as you know it in a calendar. That is today's date. So the first day of Unity Bat month is going to be the one that's going to be marked in red. The date marked in yellow, oh, this is just the explain bit. The date marked in yellow is when the full moon is in this 28-day calendar system. And that is just to explain what's going on in this little space here. I have a download. You can go across to my store and download a free sneak peek of some of the calendar pages, so you can have this for yourself at home to look at. And there is a free sneak peek of the explain page, so you can see it up close and check that out. So what I just want to say is it is now available to order if you go across to my store, and if you want to get this free download, then go across to my store for that. And I think I've explained as much as I can explain. Any questions you can gladly write to me on my webpage, and otherwise, thank you for listening.